Okay, so let's get started with OPI, where we were, where we are going. It's good to just kind of recap. It'll be a little bit of an introduction to what is OPI, because some of the folks are joining. Some of you are well aware, you're part of the journey, you built it, so you're aware, but we have few folks who are joining from elsewhere. So far, in the interest of in their interest, let's just recap a little bit. Okay, can we check if the audio is available for the folks on the Zoom, right? Yeah. Before we get started, thank you. Thanks our premier members, ARM, Dell, F5, Intel, Keysight, Marvel, Red Hat. These are the folks who are paying the bills. Really appreciate that. This is a very important initiative. DPUs play a big role in terms of how our infrastructure is evolving. And we have your CPUs and GPUs are very clearly positioned where they are, what they do. But quite a few people are confused about DPUs, IPUs, what happens there. But some of these companies are seeing the potential and then the value that they can bring. And appreciate that, and also general members who are part of the community. Thank you. So, what is a DPU? It is we have seen it again. I mean, we spoke about it multiple times for somebody who is joining new. It is an evolution of the NICs that we have. And then over a period, the NICs have become smart NICs, and smart NICs have become, special. I mean, in the beginning, there is a NIC, and then there's a specialized NIC. Maybe they were doing one function, whatnot. They have evolved into IPU DPUs, which have enough functionality to become an independent system, right? But they're also, in terms of form factor, they are sitting in between your network, which is your backbone backbone to a server network, right? And the server side itself, it's growing, and it's typically has a few ports, not as many as your switch, but this is your entry point into your server or into your system. They have their own independent BMCs, and the unique thing is that they have a bunch of cores that are flexible cores that can really add compute. And then they also have a bunch of accelerators. How do we combine all of them and provide value to the host, as well as the traffic that is going from the host to the net, right? So that's where they do. And uniquely, the number of flows for these hundreds of gigs that are hundreds of gigs speed ports that we have, it's very difficult to scale in a central location. If you have a switch, they're really good at header processing, but when you really want to look at flow processing and you want to go deep inside and start doing services, they don't scale well. So that way DPUs have formed a nice form factor, which can accelerate those services. So that's what it is. In terms of system architecture, right, it has definitely evolved from how a NIC, even with a lot of functionality, offloads, was still part of the server or the system, and then it's almost looked at as a peripheral, right? Whereas with all the capacity and capabilities, they are with DPUs and IPUs, it clearly evolves into its own independent system. And in terms of architecture, that is the biggest change. And then that brings a unique value, because imagine a server with a bunch of these DPUs. It can take an appliance form factor. If the same thing goes into a switch, again, it becomes part of the network. So on both sides of the wire, on one side, it can be part of the host. In the middle, it can become an appliance. If you put it on the other side, it can become part of your infrastructure, becomes smart switches and smart TAR. So in terms of manageability, in terms of system architecture, that's the evolution basically. And when we started, our goals were really to, how do we build a community around standards-driven ecosystem, right? Idea is not to come up with something new. If we find anything out there already, we don't want to reinvent. We really want to take that and extend and use and collaborate with those groups. That's the biggest goal. But from the beginning, we want to be vendor agnostic, because the biggest challenge is that all the hyperscalers and the larger companies with some of these who pioneered some of these technologies, they all have gone their own proprietary ways because of the speed of innovation and for various reasons, right? Their business speed of their business and whatnot. But the idea is that, how do we unlock the value by bringing it out when in a vendor agnostic way as a community? Okay, what is that we can design as an industry-wide co-design with common APIs and move fast. So, and our goal is also how do we build some implementation examples that we can share and that will help somebody who is adopting this quickly, right? And then why you should care about OPI is because, the largest companies, they already have the movement. I think definitely there's a lot more value for tier 2, tier 3 players is where one way to look at it. And any non-standard framework does not unlock the value, or even if it unlocks, we don't get that multiplier effect. So that's the biggest goal for us. And then to drive a broader adoption and kind of get into a positive cycle, I think, OPI is key. And anything that you do it as a community design, collaborating with everyone else, we will be able to accelerate the adoption as well as bring out the value much faster. We have a bunch of demos that's already out there. There's a link here, go there, take a look at some of the demos that are already built. And going forward, our priorities, ideas, of course, we want to continue to do evolve the APIs that we have. But idea is also to look at solutions as set of blueprints that somebody could adopt quickly, right? Instead of, looking at them as features, a set of features that are kind of aligned would get us going much faster. The operating structure, some of you who are new to this, we have a board, we have a technical steering committee that's guiding us in terms of, how do we things. There is an outreach committee that is guiding in terms of how, including this summit, how do we engage with others, how do we get the word out. And actual work is done by 4 working groups. Again, we want to really we want to be driven by the use cases from the customers. I think that's what is going to be key for our success going forward. And there are a couple of QR codes that you can use to access some of the resources, right? And call to action is, participate, talk to folks around you, talk to your customers, talk to, even if somebody is there who may not have a solution or cannot contribute, I think even use cases are very useful for us, right? Find your customers who have a need for this, who could benefit from it, bring them to OPI, and we are willing to listen. We want to, take their feedback on what would make this useful for them and go it from there. And of course, join the working groups, get resources internally, get your engineers to, participate and in the working groups and go from there, right? Thank you again, and then welcome. I know it's hard to get up early in the morning after the 4 or 5 days of getting up for OCP and coming here, but good to see all of you. Welcome. Thank you.